September 11th, 2001. Where were you at on that day when you heard the news that Tuesday morning? Personally, I was in nursing school at the time. I was in Wilton Technical Community College is where I was at, Wilton, North Carolina. I was actually at the hospital there in Wilton doing a student rotation as a student nurse. I was on a psych ward, and that morning I remember leaving my patient's room, walking down the hallway, and I heard a little bit of commotion in the nurse's station. I didn't know what was going on. Someone said a plane had hit the World Trade Towers, and I thought, what? That sounds weird. What? How does that happen? A pilot error? What happened? And then a little while, someone said, no, it's two planes. And then you start thinking, what in the world is going on here? And so by this time, someone had pulled a TV into the nurse's station, and we're all glued to the TV. And as we're watching the TV, you hear that, a plane's hit the Pentagon, and there's a plane, going down somewhere in Pennsylvania. And I remember having this weird moment where you couldn't quite process everything, and you're thinking, what in the world is going on? Like, is there another attack? Is this a small part of what's going to be a much bigger attack? You're just concerned, you're worried, your nation is under attack. What's going on? And here in America, there had never been any sort of a major attack like that on our homeland. So you just start wondering. And I remember that in that moment, I thought about a buddy of mine, Leo, who was stationed in my hometown of Goldsboro, North Carolina, and he was a high school friend of mine, and I hung out with him often. And I remember that he would just make small talk, and he was in the Air Force, and he would happen to mention to me, Jackie, America's going to be in a war someday, probably before I get out of the military. And at this point in time, he was in his first 4 or 6 years, and I remember saying, Leo, why would you say that? And he would say, just the nature of just statistics. Every so many years, it seems like we're in a war, and I just think that we're going to be in a war again one day. And at the time, I just thought that sounded so far-fetched, some sort of a, goofy scenario, because we had been at peace for so long as a country. We had Desert Storm, but outside of that, I think all the way back to the Korean or Vietnam War, since the America had last been in a major conflict. But that was his point exactly. It had been so many years that people forgot about war and the horrors of wars and governments, and mistakes were made, and diplomacy wouldn't necessarily prevail. That was kind of his thinking. And I remember having a little bit of fear and a little bit of anxiety, and I snuck off to where we kept our books because I had my phone there. We were not, as nursing students, we were not supposed to be on the phone. At the time, I'm probably 21 or 22, and I remember calling Leo. He worked second shift. He stayed in the barracks on base, and I called him up, and I was kind of whispering, and I was like, Leo, get up. Get up. You need to turn on the news. You're right. Your prediction has come true. I think our country's under attack. You got to wake up. Now, unbeknownst to me, someone had already woke him up, and he was in like the community, room in the dorms watching the news, and he knew everything that was going on. And I remember a day or two later after that, getting an email from my brother, who was stationed at the time, I didn't know where. I have a twin brother, and he was in the Air Force also. And he was in the and he was TDY, but we didn't know where he was, because when he left, it was the one time that he went somewhere that he couldn't tell us where he was at. And so I remember getting this email from him, and it was just a couple lines, and it basically just said, just know that if anything happens to me, I volunteered to serve my country. And I remember sitting back thinking, wow, yeah, you did. He didn't join the military for some sort of free college money. He didn't join the military just, he joined the military in part because he wanted to do something great with his life. And we come from a background, where we come from poverty. We didn't have a family that had a lot of resources. We didn't, today I'm far more successful than anybody ever was in my family back then. And by the way, coincidentally, so is he. We've both become entrepreneurs, and we've done well for ourselves. But I remember reading that email thinking, wow, okay, this is real now. This is real. And I've never forgotten that feeling. He got out of the military after, I think, it was 8 years, and he eventually, became an entrepreneur. He's built several successful businesses, and likewise, I'm no longer a nurse. I left nursing because, I started a business, and I've done very well for myself. But I've never forgotten, especially every year around this time, thinking about men and women who have died to give us the right to make choices, the right to be able to, raise a family without, any form of oppression. We don't live in a country where people tell us how many kids we can have. Do you know what I'm saying? We live in a country where we still have a lot of freedoms. And I want to take this moment to thank you. If you are a military veteran, or, if you are currently serving active duty, thank you for your service. if you're a family, especially immediate family member, your dad's in the military, your mom or your spouse is in the military, active duty or veteran, thank you for the part that you play as well. If it wasn't for the brave men and women that we have, we wouldn't live in a country that still gives us so many opportunities. If you don't like your job, you live in a country where you can do something about it. You can go to school if you want to. You can become an entrepreneur. Starting a business is so simple once you know how to do it, once you understand how to start a business. It takes work ethic. You always got to be willing to work for what you want. But we still live in a country where you can improve yourself and make yourself better. And if it wasn't for the men and women, by the way, you don't have to agree with the president. The president can be a Republican, a Democrat, it doesn't matter. You don't have to agree with the president and their decisions with our troops. You can still honor the men and women who serve this country, irregardless of who the president is, with the sole purpose of helping defend our rights and defend our country and our country's interests. So on this day, September 11th, I want to say thank you. Thank you for what you've allowed me to provide for my family. Thank you for the opportunities that I have. Thank you for the service that you provide to our country. It is extraordinary, and you don't get told enough. Thank you. I appreciate it, and I want to encourage you, if you're not in the military, thank a veteran today for the service that they gave to our country. Many of them came home, lost friends, life, limb. If nothing else, they dedicated time, underpaid, underappreciated time in service to their country. And many of them gave far more than that. Thank you so much. Have a great day. God bless.